Hey guys, Eric here with the Game of Inches podcast. I just want to jump on here tonight and talk a little college hoops real quick. We had a very big day of college basketball. We are on the eve of Selection Sunday, which is tomorrow evening. Today, some big things happened, some history was made, and I just wanted to kind of go over a couple things. To start off, we had a couple major upsets. I will start with the number one team in the country, the Houston Cougars, who in the Big 12 title game got absolutely shellacked by Iowa State Cyclones, the number seven team in the country and the number two seed in the Big 12. Iowa State beat them by 28. I believe the final score was 69 to 41. That 28 point margin of victory was the third largest margin of victory against a number one team in the country. Going into today, Houston was considered to be the number one overall team for the NCAA tournament. And I think since that happened, things have quite changed quite a bit. Also, another team who was out there trying to be the number one overall team in the tournament was the Purdue Boilermakers. They got beat today in the Big Ten semifinals against Wisconsin in overtime. That was a back and forth, physical, tough game. And Wisconsin beat them in overtime on a late last second shot. Zach Edey and company are going home from the Big Ten tournament a little bit earlier than they expected. Zach Edey is the National Player of the Year, or supposed to be the National Player of the Year, winning the award for the second time, as he was the National Player of the Year last year. He is supposed to be the first player to win back-to-back National Player of the Year awards since Ralph Sampson did that from 81 to 83 when he won three. So he's going home a little disappointed, even though he is getting some hardware later on down the road. I think Purdue stays on the one line. They've had a really strong season, and I don't think a last second loss like that will drop them from the one line because they were pretty dominant during the regular season in the Big Ten. Now, that being said, with Houston and Purdue both getting beat, there's some teams that had a chance to kind of take the number one overall spot, and I think the Connecticut Huskies did exactly that as they went into the Big East Conference Championship and beat Marquette, winning their eighth conference championship in program history, tying the Big East record for conference tournament championships with Georgetown. They also won their first conference championship since 2011 when Kemba Walker went on his roll and won 5 games in 5 days. And I will get back to that in a little while. But UConn looked really good. They looked like a really complete team. They got off to a little bit of a slow start as them and Marquette. Neither of them were shooting the ball particularly well in the first half, but both of them were also playing some extremely good defense there in the first half. But UConn, they got the ball clinging. Their 7-2 center late in the second half, and he kind of got on a roll as he had 22 points and 16 rebounds in the Big East tournament final. Anyway, they're a really complete team. They looking really good. They're playing really hard. They're actually definitely a team on a mission. Their mission was to go out and win the Big East regular season title, which they did. It was their first Big East regular season title since 2006, and then today was their first conference championship in the Big East since 2011. Now, they did leave the Big East for between 2013 and 2020 when they went and played in the American Athletic Conference, but they rejoined the Big East in 2021. And this year they are just collecting hardware, a Big East regular season title, and now a conference championship. And their coach said they are not done. They are the defending national champions, and they're looking every bit like champions right now. So I think they actually took over the number one overall team going into the NCAA tournament. We will find out for sure tomorrow, but it looks like they'll be the one seed in the East region. I think also this year it doesn't really matter who is the number one overall. I think it just kind of works out where geographically everybody's going to be kind of where they need to be. Like I said, Houston got beat. I think they're still on the one line, but they'll be playing in the South region out of Memphis. So that wouldn't have changed whether they're the number one overall or not. I believe Purdue, would have been the number one overall in the Midwest. As far as the other number one goes, it was looking like it was going to be Tennessee until they got beat yesterday in the SEC tournament by 17 by Mississippi State. And once they got beat, it looked like North Carolina had a chance to maybe claim that one seed. But they fell short tonight in the ACC tournament championship in Washington, D.C., as NC State knocked them off. NC State won their sixth conference tournament, their first since 1987, but they also made a little more history by becoming the second team in NCAA tournament, in NCAA history to win 5 games in 5 days, as they were the second team to do that, and the first since Kemba Walker and the Huskies did that in 2011. Now, in 2011, when Kemba Walker did that, they also went on to win the national title. So we'll see what happens to NC State. We'll see if they're tired. They still have their legs under them once the NCAA tournament kicks off. But they are on a really good roll right now, and they are surprising folks, and they're a really tough physical team. So props to them. They beat North Carolina, who's the number four ranked team in the country, and they found something deep within, and they were really tired, but they found something deep within to kind of pull out that victory. And every time North Carolina made a run, NC State had an answer. So props to them. North Carolina was trying to win their first conference title since 2017. But they came a little bit short. Now, I don't know if that affects Carolina's seeding. I don't know if they're going to be now be a 2 seed, or they're still going to stay on the one line. If I had to pick, I would say UConn's the number one overall. I would put Purdue as a 1, Houston as a 1, and I'd probably keep North Carolina on the one line. But there's not really that much separation between 1 seed and 2 seeds, especially not this year. So we will see how that plays out. But it is nice to be a 1 seed. It's a little bit more prestigious for the program. So we'll see how that turns out tomorrow. But it was a really big day. It was a really big day in college hoops. A little more history was made as a Pac-12 conference championship played their final conference tournament. As the majority of those teams are either going to the Big Ten or Big 12 next year. So you had the future Big 12 participant Colorado playing against the future Big 10 participant Oregon, and Oregon, a 4 seed there in the Pac-12, going into the week was not a tournament team. They were on the bubble, but they stamped their automatic bid into the NCAA tournament by beating Colorado tonight. I think it was 75-68 out in Vegas. So history was just kind of made all over the place tonight. Like I said, we had Purdue getting beat in the semifinals by Wisconsin, and Wisconsin plays Illinois in the Big Ten championship game tomorrow afternoon. Illinois made a kind of a big comeback there and pulled away from Nebraska there in the second half, and Shannon Jr. put up 40 points in that game. So Illinois versus Wisconsin in the Big Ten tomorrow. That'll be a pretty good game. Both of those teams are solidly in the NCAA tournament, though. So it just whoever wins that, it might affect their seeding a little bit, seeded a little bit higher than what they might have been if not for winning their conference. And then, like I said, we had UConn winning the Big East championship over a scrappy Marquette team. Marquette is really good. I think they're on the 2 line. So I mean, they're a really good team. They've had a really good season. They've beat a lot of really good teams. But UConn has beat them 3 times in a row, 3 times this year, which is very hard to do. but UConn is just a complete team. You know, they have inside out. They have really good guard play. They're really good defensively. So we'll see. I mean, they are the defending national champions, and they're playing all a bit of it like national champions right now. And then I said you had NC State knock off North Carolina, the second team in NCAA history to win 5 games in 5 days. Very impressive feat. We'll see how things shake out for them as far as where they're at, where they're seated, and who they have to play, and hopefully when tournament time rolls around, they'll have their legs and everybody will be healthy and feeling good, and maybe they'll make another little make a little run and just keep the momentum going. We'll see. But anyway, I just want to jump on here and talk a little college hoops. It was a really good day, and I will get back on here before Tuesday and make my Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, and try to predict the national champion. Y'all have a good night. I'll talk to you soon.